Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for yet another daily talk of stock. And today it is Thursday, July 24th. And as we can see by the heat map here on screen, we overall had a pretty flat day within the markets. So just another push forward. We did have some plays in the green by about a percent point or two, and other plays in the red by just a percent or two. So not really a bunch of news when it comes to overall economic data, but we did get this last night, and that was the president. He came out with a talk all around AI, and then also he did sign some big executive orders. So we could see that he signed an executive order promoting the export of American AI technology, accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure, and then also preventing woke AI in the federal government. But in general, I do believe that the markets are a bit flat right now because we are anticipating what is to come next Wednesday and then next Friday. So next Wednesday, we do have the big FOMC interest rate decision. This will be where Jerome Powell talks, and also this will be where the Federal Reserve either does their cut when it comes to rates or they stay stagnant. But it is projected right now that the Fed does hold with their interest rates. We most likely will not see a rate cut coming up this Wednesday. On the Fed monitor tool, there is a 97% projection that we do see the rates hold steady. And then coming on the first is going to be the reciprocal tariffs from the president. So we do know that Donald Trump has talked about August 1st being the deadline for a lot of these countries that have not made a deal. Now, the president is a deal maker, and we have seen some other countries recently make some deals before this deadline, most notably Japan. We did just see them make a deal with Japan just 2 days ago. This was a pretty big historic deal, but the biggest holdout when it comes to trade is around China, and arguably China is also our biggest trade partner. We do rely a lot on China when it comes to imports into this country. A lot comes from China, but not only that, we do also heavily rely on China to buy a lot of our debt. And this year has really been a lot about trade America from China. We do know that they have been dropping a lot of their U.S. bonds. And so just as this reads right here, the China's U.S. Treasuries holdings fell to their lowest level since 2009 in May this year, currently standing at a total of 756 billion, according to data released by the United States Treasury Department. And so this is huge. We know all year there has been some tension between the United States and then also China. And so it will be interesting to see whether a deal gets made coming up before the first, or whether more fear, uncertainty, and doubt gets drawn into the markets. China has been pretty serious on selling out of their U.S. Treasury. So we will just have to see what comes up. But I do believe that the markets will still be at least semi-bullish or strong until this date. And overall, I'll say what I have said all year when it comes to fear, uncertainty, and doubt around tariffs. I do believe that the tariffs won't be as harsh as what investors are expecting and what we are being told. I believe that there will come a deal between the United States and China. And even if there isn't a deal made, I do believe, even though President Trump said that they will hold strong with this, I do believe that there will be a pushback or some type of deal or negotiation will be made. Again, that is just my opinion, though. And with that being said, I am still very bullish on the markets, and I am very excited about the plays that we're going to talk about today because I see them having a lot of growth potential as the years go forward. Whether or not the markets do trail a little bit at the first of next month, or whether they do pop up, these are plays that I am looking at for the long term, the next 5 to 10 years. Both stocks that start with H. We're going to talk about HIMS Health, HIMS and Hers Health, and then we're also going to visit Hood, Robinhood stock. But as always, I just want to say that this is not financial advice, and I always recommend doing your own due diligence before making any financial decisions. So first, we're going to start with HIMS and HERS Health. And this is the first time we have talked about HIMS and HERS Health on this channel, but the stock was a high flyer at the beginning of the year. I personally waited for my opportunity to jump into this stock. I just recently did, and there was a big jump within HIMS and HERS Health, and I believe that this stock could push a lot higher. So when we just look at the storyline and the history of HIMS and HERS Health, first off, by looking at their revenue and their earnings history, we could see that this company has had an accelerating earnings. So every single earnings report that they have put out has been better than the last earnings report. So things have been accelerating when it comes to revenue. And not only that, this company has had a major breakthrough starting just at the tail end of 2024, starting at the beginning of 2024. Their first quarter was the first time they had a profitable quarter. Their earnings per share just at a cent. They have been profitable since that point, but before that point, they were at a negative earnings per share. So this company has done great stuff. They are not only having great quarters when it comes to revenue, I mean, quarters all the way up to 586 million. That is huge, but this company is also profitable, and they still have a long way to run. Currently, the market cap is just at 12 billion. I personally believe that this company will continue to grow, because if you don't know what HIMS and HERS Health is, they are all around supplements, pills, and things for just overall, we can see here losing weight, regrowing hair, sex pills, anxiety, smooth skin. So a lot of supplements comes from HIMS and HERS Health, and they are rapidly growing within their market. So HIMS and HERS Health is doing a bunch. And when we look at the technical analysis of HIMS, this is what got me excited into HIMS and wanted to make me jump into it in the recent term. So early in the year to start 2025, we did have a massive jump within this stock. It has definitely been one of the hottest stocks through this year. We saw it jump by a whole 187% at one point. Now, HIMS has fallen off a bit from that point, and this is currently why I am excited about this opportunity, because when we look at the candlestick chart, we still have a ways to get back to what was the 52-week high set earlier in the year in February. And when we look at the other indicators on the relative strength index and the MACD, it does appear that we still have a lot more opportunity to run even higher. The relative strength index sitting right at 59, so right at about a middle spot. And then when we look at the MACD, things are looking bullish there. We could be seeing a big momentum cross of the blue going over the orange and getting back into bullish momentum in the near term. And I believe a big catalyst that could push HIMS up a lot higher will be their earnings that is coming in 11 days on August 4th. So we are in the midst of earnings season right now. HIMS going to be one of the big earnings that comes on Monday, August 1st. So this will be huge, especially depending on where the flow and direction of the market is at this point. Because if things do get settled on August 1st between China, the US, and any other trade partners, we could see the markets be really bullish, because again, this year, when it comes to fear, uncertainty, and doubt, inflation, tariffs, and then also interest rates have been the biggest factors to push a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and bleeding within the markets. And so it has been a big storyline all year around these tariffs. If things do come out positive, the markets could be flying, and HIMS and HERS Health releasing their earnings right at this time, assuming that they are going to beat their earnings once again, as they have always done, and assuming that they are also going to have positive growth expectations for the future, I do believe that things are looking very bullish for HIMS stock. And so now we're going to hop into our next stock, the other H stock, which is Hood, Robinhood Markets, and the Hood is getting expensive to be in at $101. And this has been quite the jump through this year, because for any investors that were looking at the stock during Liberation Day, Robinhood was priced at just $35. So there has been a massive explosion within Robinhood. The stock up more than 200% right now, where we are currently sitting at. We are a bit down from the all-time highs that we did just see recently when Robinhood got all the way up to $110. And some investors on the outside may be looking at Hood and thinking it is a bit expensive, especially because it just broke through that psychological mark of going from a double-digit stock to a triple digit stock up to $100. And so this does play a psychological effect. Many investors may be thinking that Robinhood can't sustain where it is at right now, but I personally believe that we are still cheap. The price in Robinhood is still cheap because of all the growth which is to come in Robinhood stock. So this company has a lot building behind it. And when we look at their earnings report and their storyline and their history, this company has also had an accelerating earnings, with their biggest quarter being Q4 of 2024 with $1 billion quarterly. So they had their biggest quarter in 2024. And then this year, when it comes to innovation, they have by far had some of their biggest announcements ever for this company. This company is officially becoming a true fintech play coming this fall, because in April they did announce that they are officially becoming a bank. And then recently we did have Robinhood announce how they are going global. So they are going to have a massive influx when it comes to customers using their platform, because they are bringing their tokens out to the European Union for more than 200 different stocks within the market. So massive news around Robinhood. And personally, I do believe while we are at $100, we will not sit here for much longer. We do have the chance of going back to 99 or being just in the double digit range, but I personally don't believe for long. I believe that $100 is a good price for any investors that want to jump into Robinhood, because just in 6 days, we are going to have Robinhood announcing their earnings. And if earnings continue on the same projection that they have been on, the earnings should come in positive. And I personally believe that Robinhood will also come out with some great guidance for the future. I believe that we could see a big volume pop within Robinhood. And again, I don't believe that we are just going to be at 100 for much longer. This company really doing so much when it comes to innovation. They are truly a growth stock, and currently at just a $90 billion market cap. I think they will be easily a $100 billion market cap stock here in the very near future. And I also think that this is interesting because on Robinhood right now, you could participate in their Q&A for their earnings call. So there is 5 days left to hop into this if you want to ask any questions or vote on any questions that other investors asked. And I think this is interesting because here we could see we had Samuel ask, when will Robinhood start paying dividends? And since the share price has increased so much, will there be a stock split anytime soon? I think that both of these questions are very interesting, and both pertain to growth stocks. So if you don't know the difference between a value stock and a growth stock, a value stock is a lot like Big Bear AI, a stock we talk about a lot on this channel. Value stocks do typically have debt. They are coming from a place where they are still projecting future growth, but it hasn't yet been realized. So like for Big Bear, we expect big things for them in the future, but their past hasn't been the best. Where a growth opportunity or a growth stock, their past looks great and their future looks even better. And that's where Robinhood is at currently. They have a lot of cash on hand. Their earnings are positive. This company is at a net positive. Everything is looking bullish for Robinhood stock. And with that, being a growth stock, it is definitely possible that Robinhood will pay future dividends or have stock splits. When we compare it to another company that that is a lot around finances, that would be American Express. They are sitting at $300 right now, but they pay a dividend. And so this is a common thing with companies that are growing. So there is the possibility that in the future, Robinhood does offer dividends. And then when it comes to stock splits, this would be massive. And I could definitely foresee this sometime in the future with Robinhood, because stock splits could really provide a lot of growth for a company. And we've seen a lot of growth companies do this. And when there is a stock split, this really does present the opportunity for a lot more investors to jump in, only increasing the buying within that particular stock. And so with stock splits, if you don't know what it is, this is just where the company will do a split. So they'll take your one share and either make it 2-to-1, 4-to-1, 10-to-1, something like that. And the reason why they do it again is usually out of bullishness, unless they are splitting on the downtrend. But if they are splitting on the uptrend and the company does look solid with growth, this is usually a positive, because this just allows more investors to hop into that company at a lower price. And this will greatly help any investors who are currently in that company. I mean, just think right now, if you are buying Robinhood shares and then a couple years from now we see a 4-to-1 split, that would be massive. And in general, the growth in Robinhood should only continue. So I'm very excited about what the future for Robinhood brings, whether there is dividends or stock splits in the future, or whether we just continue to see the price on Robinhood stock continue to grow. Personally, I am very invested into this play, and I am very excited for Robinhood. And I encourage investors, again, this is never financial advice, but just my opinion, but I would encourage investors to get into Robinhood stock before the price is even higher, because investors were looking at it priced high at $70, $80. Now it's at $100, and they're still thinking it's high. But before we know it, Robinhood will be to $120 and beyond. Again, I personally do believe that Robinhood stock right now sitting with a market cap of just 90 billion. I do believe that they will be at 100 billion in the short term, and one day we will see Robinhood as a $1 trillion company. And HIMS Health sitting at just a 12 billion market cap. I believe that this stock has a lot higher to run, and while the technicals are looking good, this is personally when I have entered into HIMS stock. But I would be curious to hear what everyone else thinks in the comments section below. So please drop a comment on if you're invested into either of these H stocks or any other stocks within the market. If there's anything you are bullish or bearish on, what your overall opinion is. I always love to hear from you guys. So please drop that comment down below. Please leave a like, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I thank you guys as always for being here, and I will see you in the next daily talk of stock.